The board has voted unanimously to remove you as CEO due to concerns about your mental fitness, the chairman announced, sliding termination papers across the conference table like he was serving an eviction notice. Your sister Victoria brought evidence of erratic behavior, emotional instability, and poor judgment. Security will escort you out. I sat frozen in the chair I'd occupied for 11 years, in the company I'd built from a garage workbench with nothing but a maxed-out credit card and a desperate dream, watching my own board members avoid my eyes. What Victoria didn't know, what none of them seemed to remember in their rush to betray me, was that while they could strip me of my title, they couldn't touch the 51% ownership stake I'd never diluted through any funding round. The company was Meridian Dynamics, a robotics firm I'd founded at 23 with technology I'd developed during sleepless nights while working 2 jobs to pay rent. I'd grown it from nothing to a $340 million valuation. I'd hired every original employee. I'd personally closed the deals that put us on the map. And my sister had just convinced the board I was crazy. "This is a mistake," I said, keeping my voice steady despite the earthquake inside me. "The evidence Victoria provided was compelling," said Harold Green, the board chairman, a man I'd trusted, mentored under, considered a friend. "Medical records, witness statements, documentation of your recent behavior." "What medical records? What statements?" "I'm not at liberty to discuss the specifics." "You're firing me from my own company based on evidence you won't show me?" "We're removing you as CEO. Your ownership stake remains intact, pending any future shareholder decisions. Shareholder decisions require a majority vote. I own 51%. Something flickered in Harold's expression, confusion, maybe concern. He glanced at Victoria, who sat at the far end of the table with an expression of practiced sympathy. "We were informed your shares had been diluted in the Series C round," Victoria said smoothly. "That you now hold approximately 34%. Who informed you of that?" "The documentation." "What documentation?" "I never authorized any dilution. I've retained majority control through every funding round specifically to prevent situations exactly like this." The room went quiet. "Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding," Harold said slowly. "Victoria, you provided the cap table showing." "The cap table I provided was accurate as of my last conversation with the legal team," Victoria interrupted. "If Elise is claiming otherwise, she's either confused or lying." "I'm neither." I stood up. "And I'm not leaving until someone explains what's actually happening here." "Security has been called." "Call them off, Harold. I own this company. Literally own it. More than half of it. And I want to see every document my sister provided that supposedly proves I'm mentally unfit to run the business I built." Harold hesitated, then nodded to his assistant. The security call was canceled. "Victoria," he said carefully, "perhaps we should review the evidence again." My sister's composure cracked just slightly. "The evidence is clear. Elise has been exhibiting signs of burnout, making irrational decisions, alienating key employees. I'm trying to protect this company. You're trying to steal it." I turned to face her directly. "You've wanted Meridian since the day it became worth something. You've been positioning yourself for years, joining the advisory board, helping with HR decisions, befriending board members. This was always your plan. That's paranoid thinking. Exactly what I mean about your mental state." "What mental state?" "You've fabricated evidence to convince these people I'm unstable. You've lied about my ownership stake. And I'm guessing you've already applied for my job." Victoria's face went pale. "Oh yes," I continued. "I know about the resume you sent to Harold this morning. Before the board meeting even started. Before you knew if your scheme would work. You were that confident." Harold's expression shifted. "Victoria, is that true?" "I was simply preparing contingencies. If Elise was removed, someone would need to step in. I have the qualifications. You have an MBA and 3 years of consulting experience. I have 11 years running this company, 7 patents, and relationships with every major client we have. I gathered my things. This board meeting is over. The next one will be in 3 days. And it will look very different." I walked out before anyone could stop me. The next 72 hours were the most intense of my life. I contacted my attorney, Thomas, within an hour of leaving the building. He confirmed what I already knew. My ownership stake was intact, unchanged, and properly documented. Whatever cap table Victoria had provided was fraudulent. She committed fraud, Thomas said. Potentially criminal fraud, depending on how the documents were created. I don't care about prosecuting her. I care about fixing this. You have options. As majority shareholder, you can call a special board meeting. You can remove board members. You can essentially do whatever you want. What I want is to understand why my own board believed my sister over me. The investigation revealed a disturbing picture. Victoria had spent 18 months building her case. She'd befriended Harold's wife, gained access to confidential board communications, and carefully planted seeds of doubt about my leadership. She'd collected evidence of my supposed instability, emails taken out of context, photos from a company party where I'd been exhausted after working 70-hour weeks, even a fabricated conversation with a concerned employee who didn't exist. The medical records she'd provided were from a brief therapy consultation I'd had 3 years ago after our mother died. Records Victoria had somehow obtained illegally and presented as evidence of ongoing mental health treatment. How did she get those records? I asked Thomas. We're looking into it. Possibly through our mother's estate, possibly through illegal means. Either way, it's a serious HIPAA violation. And the board just accepted them? Victoria is persuasive. And she told them what they wanted to hear, that you were struggling, that the company needed stable leadership, that she could provide it. What they wanted to hear. Thomas sighed. Elise, I don't know how to tell you this, but some of your board members have been looking for a way to reduce your control for years. You've rejected acquisition offers they wanted to accept. You've prioritized long-term development over short-term profits. Victoria gave them an excuse to do what they already wanted to do. Remove the founder from her own company. It happens more often than you'd think. But it wasn't going to happen to me. The special board meeting was scheduled for Friday at 2 p.m. I arrived at 1:45, accompanied by Thomas and 2 other attorneys. The conference room fell silent when I walked in. Harold was there, looking uncomfortable. The other board members, 5 people I'd handpicked over the years, sat in their usual seats. Victoria had positioned herself at the head of the table, as if she'd already taken my place. You're not supposed to be here, she said. I'm the majority shareholder. I can be wherever I want. I sat down at the opposite end of the table. This is a special meeting of the Meridian Dynamics Board of Directors, called by me, Elise Monroe, holder of 51% of company shares. The ownership records show. The ownership records Victoria provided were fraudulent. Thomas distributed folders to each board member. Inside you'll find the actual cap table, certified by our legal team and confirmed by the SEC filings. Elise Monroe holds 51.3% of Meridian Dynamics. She has never diluted below majority control. The board members opened their folders. I watched their faces change as they realized what they'd done. The medical records Victoria provided were obtained illegally, I continued. The witness statements were fabricated. We've confirmed that 2 of the supposed witnesses don't exist, and the 3rd has signed an affidavit stating she never spoke to Victoria about me. Victoria started. I'm not finished. I turned to face her directly. You committed fraud. You obtained private medical records illegally. You presented false evidence to a corporate board. You attempted to steal a company worth $340 million. I was trying to help. You were trying to take what I built because you've always believed you deserved it more. Because I was the little sister who was supposed to fail, who was supposed to need your guidance, who wasn't supposed to accomplish anything you couldn't claim credit for. The truth of it hung in the air. Our whole lives, Victoria had positioned herself as the successful one. The smart one, the capable one. My success with Meridian had disrupted her narrative, and she'd spent years finding a way to correct it. The board will now vote on the following motions, Thomas announced. First, the immediate reinstatement of Elise Monroe as CEO of Meridian Dynamics. I move to reinstate, Harold said quietly. He couldn't meet my eyes. The vote was unanimous. Second, the removal of Victoria Monroe from all advisory positions with the company. Another unanimous vote. Third, the removal of Harold Green as board chairman, due to his failure to verify evidence before taking action against the company's founder and majority shareholder. Harold's head snapped up. Now wait a minute. You accepted fabricated documents at face value. You tried to remove me without due process. You scheduled a meeting to replace me without ever asking for my side of the story. I kept my voice level. I trusted you, Harold. I considered you a mentor. And you betrayed that trust without hesitation. The vote was 4-1 in favor of Harold's removal. Only Harold voted against. Victoria, I said, turning to my sister for the final time. Your position as a shareholder is complicated by your fraudulent actions. My attorneys are exploring options for forcing a buyout of your shares. In the meantime, you're banned from all company property and communications. You can't do this to me. I can do whatever I want. I own 51% of this company. I stood up. Security will escort you out. And Victoria, if you ever come near my company again, I'll pursue criminal charges for fraud. That's not a threat. It's a promise. 2 security officers appeared in the doorway. Victoria looked around the room for support, found none, and finally stood. "This isn't over," she said. "Yes, it is." The aftermath was complicated but cathartic. I restructured the board, adding 3 new members who actually understood and supported my vision for the company. I implemented better governance procedures to prevent anything like this from happening again. And I quietly, systematically rebuilt the trust that Victoria had damaged. The employees who'd heard rumors about my mental instability were given the truth, carefully, professionally, without dragging Victoria through the mud more than necessary. Most of them were relieved. Several admitted they'd been skeptical of the accusations from the beginning. "You built this place," my head of engineering told me. "We know who you are." No one who actually works with you believed Victoria's story. Then why didn't anyone say anything? We didn't know who to trust on the board. We were afraid. That hit hard. My own employees had been afraid to defend me because the people I'd appointed to protect the company had turned against me. I vowed to do better, to be more present, to build relationships that couldn't be poisoned by manipulation. Victoria and I didn't speak for 2 years. Then last month, I received a letter. "Elise, I don't expect forgiveness. What I did was unforgivable. But I wanted you to know that I've spent 2 years in therapy trying to understand why I did it. The answer is ugly but simple. I was jealous. I'd spent my whole life being the successful one. And when you built something I couldn't match, I couldn't handle it. Instead of celebrating your accomplishments, I tried to destroy them. I'm not asking for a relationship. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I did, and I'm sorry. Victoria." I read the letter 3 times. Then I wrote back, "Victoria, I appreciate the apology. I don't know if I can forgive you. Not yet, maybe not ever. But I'm glad you're doing the work to understand what happened. Meridian is thriving. We're about to close a deal that will change everything. I built this company from nothing, and no one, not even family, will ever take that from me again. I hope you find peace. I hope you build something of your own that you can be proud of. And I hope you never forget what jealousy almost cost both of us. Elise." The deal I mentioned closed last week. Meridian Dynamics was acquired for $1.2 billion. I retained a significant stake and a seat on the board of the acquiring company. My employees received generous retention packages. The technology I'd built will now reach markets I could never have accessed alone. My sister applied for my job the day she got me fired. 2 years later, I sold the company for more than $1 billion. Some people call that revenge. I call it justice.